And we're going to talk about Trea Turner, 11 years, $300 million here. This from Philly Nation. The Phillies 2022 opening day middle infield AAV. Gene Segura at 14.9, Didi Gregorius at 15.3. That totals $30.2 million. The Phillies 2023 opening day middle infield average annual value. Bryson Stott, $700,000. Trea Turner, $27 million. Total 27.7. They're about $2.5 million under the tandem of Segura and Didi to start this past season. This deal fired me up in a way that, like, I haven't gotten fired up about a deal recently. I mean, yeah, it's going to sting paying a 39, 40-year-old Trea Turner $27 million. But frankly, I don't care because you're paying him for the next 7 years, 6 or 7. So you'll eat 8, 9, 10, and 11, I do think, if you're the Phillies.
And like, let's be real, $27 million in 2033 is
inflation. That might be equivalent to like $5.
And just baseball contracts, the way that it's going, right? Like right. It's gonna be equivalent to like 18, let's say, or 20 at the most. For a veteran who I really like, Trea Turner, if he continues to do what he does, like, he could be on a Hall of Fame track. He's a little old, so he's gonna keep playing at a really high level for the next 6, 7 years. Yeah. But there's a legit chance that this guy, like, if you're asking me who are the active guys who have a shot, he's probably like the 6th or 7th name I list, maybe even earlier than that. So, this is a guy that even at the back end of his career, yes, I'm worried, he might not be as dynamic as he once was, but he can hit. He can flat out hit. And if he's, move him to second base or whatever, like, it will be just fine. But what you're getting for the next however many years of his prime is going to be worth it, right? This is a team that comes up just short in the World Series. And what do? They just go out and get one of the best players on the market. And I mean, it's hard not to like that. You look at what they have with Bryce Harper. Yeah, that's a deal that goes into 2031. It's a great contract now. So, people were wondering if that Harper contract was good. Look how that's aged. You never know then how the contract could age with Trea Turner. And what's crazy is Harper's deal gets cheaper as the years go on. Right? It goes down to $23 million in 2029, 2030, and 2031 each year. Where does this put the Phillies in our way too early? Other teams are going to make moves, obviously, but like, they just finished runner up. Obviously, the Astros had Jose Abreu. We've talked about that, but to me, it puts the Phillies right back up there at number 2. And you got to say, like, you got to beat them. They're the favorites, I think, out of the National League. I'm just a believer you got to beat them. I know there's going to be better teams, quote unquote, probably whatever it is, but especially adding Trea Turner now, like, to me, they're the team to beat.
Yeah,
in the National League.
I think this is the best lineup in the National League. I do.
Better than Dodgers?
I do think so. Now
they're going to make more moves, and that's why it's hard. But I mean, like, even with moves, like, how can you get much better than this lineup?
I don't think you can get much better than this lineup. And, you just peek at it. Like, you've got probably the best catcher in baseball in JT Realmuto, right? At first is going to be Rhys Hoskins, who we know mashes. Bryson Stott in his first full season of Major League Baseball, pretty much. We are very high on him. Trea Turner at short. Guys won a batting title before. He's a lifetime 300 hitter. At third, Alec Bohm figured something out. He's a fan favorite in Philly. We really like Alec Bohm. We think he turned a corner. And then the outfield, left to right, as it stands right now, is what? Schwarber's going to DH. So you've got somebody in left, Brandon Marsh in center, Castellanos in right, with Schwarber DHing, and Harper set to come back midway through. So you move Castellanos to left, and you've got Harper in right, and you've got Schwarber DHing still. I mean, it's hard to put together a better lineup than this. I mean, the Dodgers come close. The Braves come close. But I think that's it.
Yeah. And now that the pressure's on them, they're going to make some moves. I mean, they're going to. They probably were anyways, but they're going to make some moves. And when your biggest liability is Nick Castellanos, who can't be worse next year. Like, he can't be worse. So, yeah, I mean, that's your biggest liability. You're in pretty good shape offensively. And then how about the pitching side, right? They bring back Wheeler. They bring back Nola. And I think Andrew Painter is going to get a shot next year.
I think so.
I think you can legitimately make the case that Andrew Painter is the best pitching prospect in baseball. The more I like looking at it, I think there's 3 guys that have that claim. It's Grayson Rodriguez, it's Yuri Perez, it's Andrew Painter. And the more I look at it, the more I think you can justify any of the three because they all have different things going for them. What's crazy about Painter is I think he could be up pretty early next year. And that's a guy that I think translates immediately. He's one of those rare breed types that will translate immediately. I think what we saw from Ranger Suarez really sold me on, him being good, for a long time. So their rotation is going to come together too. Like this is going to be a really good team. And it seems like they figured it out in the bullpen. Sure. In 2030, whatever, Trea Turner might be a little too expensive. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. It's not like 5 years from now, right? It's so far down the line. I'm not worried about it. Phillies fans shouldn't be worried about it. And Dave Dombrowski knows he'll be in a retirement home at that point. So he's not worried about it either.
Yes, correct. What I would like to see is Philly go and get one more starter. I think that quells a lot of my concerns because I really enjoy Wheeler, Nola, Suarez at the top. If you've got a postseason rotation, and I'm not saying like expensive starter, if you've got a postseason rotation of Wheeler, Nola, Suarez, Painter, I think you're set up for extreme success immediately. Painter feels like George Kirby, does he not? Like better.
With better stuff.
He's better than George Kirby, but I feel like his reliability, he's a strike thrower that throws gas and everything's tight and he knows where everything's going at this point. And that's exactly with Kirby. That was his deal. And with Seattle, like they were very comfortable running George Kirby out there in the postseason. I think you're going to see that with Painter. Now, I would like an upgraded Noah Syndergaard where he could be in the pen for long relief. He could start a game in a pinch, or if a guy goes down, I would like somebody reliable for them. I don't know who that is, but I want to see a minor name that piques your interest a little bit in the starting rotation for Philly.
So lesser than Jameson Taillon. It's like
lesser. How about a Cueto?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's fine.
I think Johnny Cueto in Philly, like that makes a lot of sense, right? Or
that was one of the rumors, though. One of the rumors that came out, and this is like these are ones that I add more validity to, like you mentioned, the Phillies earlier today. Among the teams pursuing Jameson Taillon, Mets, Phillies, Cubs, Orioles. I think ultimately the Orioles will pay the most. Yeah. We'll see, but obviously that's even more high end option than what you said. And if they get Taillon, man, I mean, I think I'm all in on the Phillies, which is really funny. But I mean, I think they could do something like that. So you got to be feeling good if you're a Phillies fan. I know you got the World Series hangover a little bit. It's disappointing, although it was a net win in a year where they, I think, accomplished more than what anybody could have thought. And then they go out and get Trea Turner. Like, you've got to be over the freaking moon if you're a Phillies fan.
Yeah, I think so too. Real quick, rapid fire, then we'll end the pod. Bogarts and Dansby Swanson, the latest things on them. Dansby, Cubs and Cardinals kind of feel like the front runner here, and Atlanta is like slowly shifting out of the picture on Dansby Swanson, which is really weird. I love the Cardinal fit. Now that Turner's off the board, I kind of love the Cardinal fit for Dansby Swanson.
So do you really feel like the Trea Turner signing doesn't add any more pressure to the Braves to add or to at least retain Dansby Swanson?
It should. I feel like it would have been done by now.
Right. And that's just so shocking to me. Like, I understand that they're probably not going to get the best return on investment because they're buying high. That's usually what happens in a free agent year.
Yeah.
But man, like Vaughn Grissom, is that who you're going to throw it short? Like, that's a big leap of faith, man.
Like, he's good, but he's not Dansby Swanson good for a team.
And we don't even know if he
series.
I don't even know if he can play big league shortstop for 162.
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure. Sorry, what was the initial question though?
What do you think about the Dansby Swanson like Cubs Cardinals thing?
I would love him and both of those teams.
Yeah.
I think the Cubs should go for Correa. If you're going to spend it short, just spend all the way. But for the Cardinals, Swanson's the perfect fit, right? The Cardinals don't seem to be the team that goes for that $300 million player. Swanson is a step below that, right? He's going to be a little bit cheaper. And ultimately, he's exactly what the Cardinals need, right? I mean, like, we're trying to talk ourselves into Paul DeJong, like, oh, he's a good defender if he can just hit like almost enough. it'll be fine because the rest of the lineup is great and the defense around him is elite. You put Dansby Swanson in that defensive alignment there, arguably one of the best middle infields in baseball with Edman and him. And then also you have Nolan Arenado at third and Goldschmidt at first. Like that is one of the best defensive infields we've ever seen. And then the outfield is phenomenal as well. They got to figure out who's catching for them. I'm not worried about that. It's actually not the worst catching market ever. And whoever they plug in will be better than what Yachty was last year on the field. Obviously there's more intangibles that we can get into, but realistically from the output that they'll get, it'll be an upgrade. I love Dansby in St. Louis. I think the fans will embrace him. I think he's a perfect fit. And I think that is the best possible fit. And it just seems to make way more sense. I don't see them spending that big on Correa. I think Dansby's the perfect match.
I saw some Chicago reports of people that are pretty well connected in the Cubs area that the Cardinals were really interested in Wilson Contreras. So if it was Swanson and Contreras joining St. Louis, I think that becomes one of the front runners in the National League. So that's one of those.
Who would you rather have if it was one or the other?
I think for them, Wilson Contreras.
I agree.
Because I worry about Ivan Herrera because we've got no idea what
He's one of my toughest reads, man. I mean, he hits the crap out of the ball, but also rolls over, pulls it, like has some defensive like there's just a lot of unknown. If he was ready, he would have been up. And if he was ready, if they were convicted in him, we wouldn't hear them being, they'd be looking more at the second tier market, right? They'd be looking at Omar Narvaez. They'd be looking at those guys if they thought Ivan Herrera was the future. So I think that kind of tells you what that is there. And I agree. I think Contreras is the better option for them. But I don't think you could be upset either way.
Real quick, Xander Bogaerts, again, much like Dansby, seems less and less likely that he's going to be a Boston Red Sox. The Cubs have emerged in the last couple of days, the things that I have been pounding the pavement for a while.
I hate it for them.
I like it for them. And then the Diamondbacks also emerging, according to John Morosi. If Xander Bogaerts is slapping on a Diamondbacks uniform, I'm in. Like we were talking about 2K teams. The Arizona Diamondbacks are a 2K team next year if Xander Bogaerts is on that team.
If they get Xander Bogaerts, I'm a Diamondbacks fan.
Yeah.
And like the way I almost was a Rockies fan, I'll be all in on the Diamondbacks. Like, that is the most fun team out there. I think if they get Xander, obviously, more than likely he's going to go somewhere else. The reason why I don't like Xander to the Cubs is you're going to move off a superior defender from short to second. I know Xander had a good defensive season and that's something to monitor, but like Horner's a superior defender there. That's why I think Correa is the perfect fit. I just think it's funny that like the Red Sox are trying to get better and in the process of doing that are going to lose their second best player and arguably their most productive player over the last few years. And how do the Red Sox you won't make that up? You're not making that up if you lose Xander. No, there's no way that you can improve this offseason, in my opinion. What do you think of that?
No, I'm with you. I think this is already kind of a failed mission for Boston because it seems like the chances of Xander walking are closer to 99-1 than they are 50-50. Where do
they pivot?
I don't know. And to that, I say, okay, you've got no plan. You're letting Xander walk. You just pissed off Rafi Devers so bad. Like, why would he want to stay in Boston if Xander is not there and they haven't shown this financial commitment to winning with the guys that have come up with them? So that's my big issue here. Like, I have no idea where Boston's going as a contingency plan, and I worry for the long-term outlook of Rafi Devers in that regard.
Well, I can tell you what, if they did trade him, it'd be one of the biggest. It'd be a Soto level haul with the years of control. They won't.
But we said that about Soto, like they won't. And then Soto got traded.
But here's the thing with the Red Sox too, man. Like they trade Mookie with no leverage because he's an expiring contract at that point, get little in return. Now Xander might walk through free agency. They're going to get a pick in return. And then, we'll see what they do with Rafi. Like they're losing some of the best talent in baseball and recouping next to nothing for it, right? Like you're going to lose Xander and Mookie, and your recoup is going to be Alex Verdugo, Connor Wong, Jeter Downs, and in a pick. Like that's what you're going to get back now. Like it's really tough. Like that's just not what you would expect from the Red Sox, right? Like especially when you're seeing what the Yankees are doing, what the Orioles are building, what the Blue Jays are doing. It's weird. It's not a Red Sox team I'm used to seeing.
Right. This is not the Red Sox team that we grew up watching. This is not the Red Sox organization that we grew up watching.
It doesn't mean pay everybody. It just pay the right guys.
Exactly. Like they were, I'm not going to say frugal, but they were perfect with Theo and with Terry Francona, and they made shit work. And then Farrell took them worst to first because they allocated funds everywhere appropriately, and they aced like maybe the most mutually beneficial trade ever, the one that brought Adrian Gonzalez and Johnny Gomes over from the Dodgers. You remember that big swap?
Carl Crawford. I thought the Dodgers bailed him out, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. And here we are, like you've got this mutually beneficial deal. Like that's what the Red Sox did. And now it feels like the Red Sox are operating like they're cash strapped, which they should never do.
Never. So. And I'm really, really fascinated to see what they do. That's one of my favorite teams to monitor this offseason. I'll tell you that. But I think we're in for a good winter meetings, man.
I think so too. Have fun at a hockey game, draining your battery, updating Twitter.
Oh, I'm going to be on Twitter 90% of that hockey game.
Yeah, I can't wait for your friends to be like, Arm, live in the fucking moment, you asshole.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to say winter meetings are way more interesting than...
Aren't you going with like baseball dudes too?
Yeah.
Just keep them updated.
Going with a couple friends who are in town after the season. So like I think they'll just want me to keep them updated while the puck flies around and you don't know it's a goal until you hear the train horn. If you need a train horn and a light to notify the fans that there's a goal, it's probably too hard to understand that there's a goal.
Hey, if you're learning anything on your weekday mornings, it's that sometimes you need VAR to know if it's a goal or not.
Oh, God, don't get me started.
All right. I have no idea which two of us are going to be with you tomorrow, but chances are we're talking about more free agent deals. God bless the winter meetings. Every link you need is in the episode description, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.